In our next episode, revision 12, let us revise investment multiplier mechanism. What do we learn here? We learn that a change in investment that affects the output and therefore employment. What does this mean? This means that if there is an increase in the investment, it would imply that there would be an increase in the output. And how does this output increase? By increasing the employment. So when we want to increase output, we need to increase employment. So employment also increases. This would increase the equilibrium level of income. So a change in investment would bring about a change in the output, employment, as well as the equilibrium level of income. The reverse happens or converse happens when there is a reduction in the investment. So the investment falls, the output falls, employment decreases, and the equilibrium level of income falls. Therefore, the investment multiplier K is given by a change in income divided by the change in investment, or simply say a ratio in the change in income because of the change in investment. Mathematically, let us see how this investment multiplier functions. For a consumption function 100 plus 0.8y, where 0.8 is the MPC, and investment, autonomous investment is given as 100 crores, then what will be the level of income? We know y is equal to c plus I, and y is equal to, now substituting the value of c over here, we get 100 plus 0.8y equal to 100, and calculating that we get the income equal to 1000 crore. So for an investment of 100 crores, the income is 1000 crore. Now let's say that the investment increases by 100 crore. So the new investment now becomes 200 crore. Then when we calculate the income for the same given consumption function, we find that the income increases to 1500 crore. So the difference being 1000 and 1500 is 500 crore. So for a change in income of investment of 100 crore, there's a change in income of 500 crore. So that means the income multiplier or investment multiplier is now 5, because it has increased 5 times. So K is equal to 5. Let's now look into the graphical representation of this change in investment that would bring about a change in income, employment, as well as the output. Now we know we represent income, output, and employment on the x-axis, and the ex-ante aggregate demand and aggregate supply on the y-axis. And the AS, or the aggregate supply or the national income, is a 45-degree line, right? Now how do we draw this AD? AD starts from here and crosses the AS to meet at some point called E. So this is our AD, which is equal to C plus I. And here is the equilibrium point, let us say E, for which the equilibrium level of income is, let us say, Y1. So OY1 is the equilibrium level of income, output, right? So with a change in investment, let us say there is a change in investment and the AD curve moves parallelly up to the previous AD. Here we have AD1, which is C plus I plus delta I for a change in investment. So now what happened? Because of the increase in the investment, the AD curve has moved up by this much, but is parallel, because we say that the autonomous investment is a parallel line to the x-axis, that is constant. So now for this change in investment, we fall short of this much of the supply. So the demand curve is now higher up the aggregate supply curve. Supply curve is here, and here is the demand curve. So we fall short of this much of supply. So what happens here is the inventory will reduce. When the inventory reduces, what happens? The producers will start increasing the output. To increase the output, employment will also increase. When employment increases, income also increases. By how much does the income increase? Now we find that the new AD meets the AS at this point, right? So this will be Y2 will be the new level of income. So for this change in investment, we find a multiple change in income, which is given by OY2, right? So this was the graphical representation of a change in investment brings about multiple change in income. Now let's understand. The change in income causes a multiple change in income. How? So this is one of the questions that is generally asked in our board examination. That is, why does a change in investment cause a multiple change in income? That means we are finding a change in income because of a change in investment that is greater than the investment. Now here, this is because the value of the investment multiplier is always greater than 1. That means K is always greater than 1. How? Let's see. We found, now to understand this, we need to understand that K is directly proportional to marginal propensity to consume, or MPC, right? K is equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC is a given formula. Then we understand that if MPC is 0.5, K's value is 2, and if MPC increases to 0.6, then K increases to 2.5. Just putting in the values over here in the formula. And 1 minus MPC is MPS. So we find that K is inversely proportional to MPS. So as savings increase, the investment multiplier falls. So this is bad for an economy. An increase in MPC shows growth in the economy, whereas an increase in the marginal propensity to save is bad for an economy, right? So if MPS falls, the investment multiplier increases, and that is what we can see over here. If MPS is 0.2, then K is 5, and if MPS is increasing to 0.5, then K falls to 2, right? So this shows the inverse relationship between K and MPS. This is a 1-mark question generally that is asked as a multiple choice question, or true or false. K is directly proportional to MPC and it is equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC. This is what we need to remember. And K is inversely proportional to MPS, or simply K is equal to 1 by MPS. So this is another option that is given. So both of them are correct. So we need to choose the right answer if at all it is asked as an MCQ, right? So K is greater than 1. Now we know that MPC lies between 0 and 1. So these are the extreme values. So putting MPC is equal to 0, we find K is equal to 1. And for MPC equal to 1, K's value is infinity. How? We just put in these values in this formula over here. So 1 by 1 minus 1 is 0. So 1 by 1, and so K will be equal to 1, right? And if MPC is equal to 1, the denominator becomes 0, and therefore K's value is infinity. So just put in these values in this formula over here to get the values of K, right? So this shows that K lies between 1 and infinity. So K is never less than 0. It is always greater than 1. It's always greater than 1. Also, we know K is equal to delta Y by delta I. And since K is greater than 1, we can always say that delta Y by delta I is also greater than 1. So rearranging them, we find that Y is greater than I. Just take this over here and you find delta Y is greater than delta I. So this is what proves that a change in investment causes a multiple change in income. Another important question that we are going to revise is the working of investment multiplier. This particular question was asked in CBSE 2017 question paper. So we are going to learn this. Of course, here MPC I have taken as 0.8. However, in the question paper, it was asked as MPC equal to 0.6. So for ease of calculation, let's take MPC is equal to 0.8 and change in investment equal to 1000 crore. There in the question paper, this was 900 crore. and MPC was 0.6. So we can calculate for that also following the same method. So here what is very important and the most important line that to be written is one's expenditure is others' income. This is an important line that has to be written while we show this working of the investment multiplier. So when the initial investment is additional investment is 1000 crore, it could be for any program by the government. The expenditure that is made by the government or the investment that is made by the government. So this will generate an additional income of 1000 crore in the first round. So in the first round, the increase in income will be 1000 crore and consumption is given to us as 0.8. MPC is given as 0.8. So what is 0.8? It means 80% of it is consumed. So if 80% of it is consumed of 1000, that becomes 800 over here. If 800 is consumed, 1000 minus 800 gives us 200 is saved, which is otherwise called leakage. Now in the second round, this 800 crore becomes the increase in the income. So it becomes, here we write 800 and 80% of 800, 8 8 is 64, so 640 becomes the increase in consumption, that is 80% of it, and 20% is saved. If 640 is change in consumption, then change in savings would be 160 crore, right? 800 minus 640 is 160. Now in the third round, what happens is this 640 comes back as income to us because this is the leakage. So only 640 will be coming back as income, and so 80% of 640 is 512 crore and 128 crore is the leakage or saving. Now this process will continue. How far? So long as the increase in savings, that is the total leakages, become equal to the increase in investment, which will be equal to 1000 crore. So here we have 1000, which will be equal to the initial one investment. So this total now comes to 5000 crore and this will become 4000 crore, right? So that is the working of the investment multiplier. Now let's look into one numerical before we close. If investment increases from 300 to 500 crores and equilibrium level of income increases by 2000 crore, calculate MPC. So this was a CBSE 2015 question paper. So from this question we understand investment is increasing from 300 to 500. It means that delta I is equal to 500 minus 300 equal to 200 crore, right? And we now are given equilibrium level of income increases by 2000. So that means delta Y is given to us as 2000. So what is the investment multiplier? That is K. K is equal to delta Y by delta I, which is equal to 2000 divided by 200. So this will be given by 10, isn't it? So K is equal to 10. Now we need to find MPC. Now we know K is equal to 1 by MPS, which implies MPS is equal to 1 by 10 because K is equal to 10. So it goes down to the denominator, right? So MPS is equal to 1 by 10, which is equal to 0.1. So MPC will be equal to 1 minus MPS because we know MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. So this will be 1 minus 0.1, which is equal to 0.9. So this is the value of MPC. So that's how we calculate MPC.